Do you even realize what everyone's whispering about right now? It's the Harris family's darkest nightmare. And no, this isn't about glittering chains or some wild Instagram live moment. This is about raw survival inside one of the coldest, most merciless places on earth. King Harris, the son of rap legends T.I. and Tiny, is clinging to life in intensive care after a savage prison attack that has the entire world on edge. The details coming out don't sound like ordinary prison drama, they feel like scenes from a gangland thriller. According to insiders, King was ambushed so violently that guards had to drag him out while chaos ripped through the block.
Steve Sadar reached out to me looking to make a deal on behalf of T.I. and Tiny. And I told Steve Sadar that my clients want justice. So if the deal involves Tiny and T.I. turning themselves in and admitting to the crime that they've committed, then fine, we got a deal. But if it does not, then I would prefer to have the investigators do their work and to bring criminal charges against Tiny and T.I.
Do you even understand how brutal this scene really was? His face swollen, body barely able to move, and the prison block exploding into a frenzy that left multiple inmates cut, bruised, and broken. This wasn't just some messy fight that got out of hand. No, whispers already suggest this was a carefully staged hit, and the motives swirling around it are darker than most people want to imagine. Inside those Georgia prison walls, the talk is downright chilling. This wasn't a petty squabble, or some routine check to test if he was tough enough to hold his own. It was a calculated ambush, designed to crush him completely, physically, mentally, and publicly. According to rumors, certain inmates had allegedly been plotting this for weeks, waiting for the right moment to humiliate him. Why? They viewed King as the flashy kid who flaunted privilege and wealth every chance he got, someone who thought fame could protect him even behind bars. For others, the hit was meant as a harsh reminder of the prison code. Once you're locked inside, your name, your followers, your money, none of it earns you respect. Only loyalty and raw toughness determine whether you make it through the night. Show the slightest crack of weakness, and you're marked as prey. That's the brutal reality, and right now, King is facing that truth in the hardest way possible. As soon as news of the attack leaked, the internet went insane. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every platform flooded with reactions. Some people offered real prayers, shaken by what happened, but others mocked him cruelly, posting things like, "King finally met the real world, and it broke him."
So the dynamics here are interesting, but I can't judge how the parenting is gone, because everything that we've seen has been stuff that many of us would have said or similar if we saw our children do this. But I will say this. A lot of what's happening is because it's in the public. Like most children don't have to do this in the public.
The firestorm online only made the pressure heavier for the Harris family, who sources say are spiraling into full-blown panic. T.I., normally seen as unshakable, reportedly hasn't slept a single night since the attack. Instead, he's been burning through calls, attorneys, politicians, and anyone with even a shred of influence inside the Georgia Department of Corrections. One Atlanta insider even claimed T.I. is ready to do whatever it takes, sign airtight NDAs, write massive checks, or strike backdoor deals, if it means pulling King out alive before another blow comes his way. Meanwhile, Tiny is said to be running her own private command center. She's coordinating with lawyers, publicists, and media allies, trying to control the narrative while also protecting her son. But even that united front the world once admired seems to be fracturing. Behind closed doors, insiders whisper about explosive arguments, each one more intense than the last. Both parents reportedly trading blame, each convinced the other's choices are what landed King in this nightmare.
I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for Family Hustle. Right. And it does come with some, it's some adversity. It's some adversity to come with that. People get in your bed.
Yeah.
Friends close to the Harris family aren't even sure anymore if the couple is battling to keep King alive, or simply battling each other. Either way, their son's future hangs in the balance while cracks begin to spread through the foundation of a marriage once seen as untouchable. The Harris dynasty, which looked so unshakable from the outside, is now showing signs of collapsing under the pressure. And this time, the stakes aren't about TV ratings, flashy appearances, or family pride. This is about life and death, plain and simple. What makes the situation even messier are the endless rumors swirling through prison walls and social media feeds. Some whispers claim King got tangled up in a contraband deal gone sideways, that he either refused to play along or tried to finesse the wrong crew. In prison, loyalty is everything, and even a single broken promise can turn you into a target overnight. Insiders connected to the investigation even allege that King was deliberately lured into a quiet corner of the prison, where 3 men ambushed him. And here's the part that has everyone suspicious. The surveillance cameras in that exact block reportedly went dark during the attack. The Department of Corrections swears there was no technical glitch, but very few people believe that explanation. As one of T.I.'s old road managers put it bluntly, this is Georgia. Cameras stop working exactly when somebody needs them to stop. Now, with King's condition still unstable, the family's private tensions are boiling hotter than ever. Fans haven't forgotten how rough things already looked months back. Like that infamous Falcons game incident, when T.I. put King in a headlock live on Instagram after another explosive clash over his choices and upbringing.
I graduated. That's the only good thing they posted of me going viral. I'm not on the media's good side. I don't know why, but it ain't.
The world remembers that explosive moment when T.I. shouted, "You are embarrassing yourself and your family," while security rushed to intervene and Tiny desperately tried to calm the chaos. At the time, people believed that was King's lowest point, the rock bottom of his public meltdowns. But compared to what unfolded inside prison, that scene now looks like a minor stumble. This ambush shows just how far lower things can spiral. With King clinging to life in a hospital bed and the Harris family's private breakdown spilling across every corner of the internet, that infamous Falcons game looks more like a rehearsal for a much darker act. To make matters worse, sources inside the prison say King wasn't just targeted for being who he is. He was mocked relentlessly with taunts about his parents' infamous scandals, particularly those still circulating allegations tied to T.I. and Tiny. The family denied everything years ago, but those shadows never fully disappeared. Inside prison walls, rumors become weapons, and that gossip turned into fuel for King's enemies. And King didn't help himself. Reports claim he kept flexing, even behind bars, posting for social media through outside contacts, calling out rivals, and hyping himself up as Atlanta's next big star. Older inmates weren't impressed. One former prisoner put it bluntly, "We don't care who your daddy is. If you run your mouth or don't pay what you owe, you get dealt with." That's the rule inside. Now King is learning that rule the hardest way possible, paying in blood. Meanwhile, T.I. is throwing every card he has on the table. Insiders say he's threatened to go public about prison conditions, while simultaneously leaking carefully crafted stories to sympathetic media outlets to steer the blame away from King and onto a corrupt system. It's the classic celebrity crisis playbook: control the narrative, protect the image, and keep the focus anywhere but home. But time is running out, and the threats aren't going away. Which leaves everyone asking one haunting question: is it already too late to save him? And deeper still, was this inevitable? When you raise someone to believe they're untouchable, reality always finds a way to strike back harder than expected. The whispers only keep spreading, and the story around King Harris's ambush is growing darker by the hour. This wasn't some random beatdown. Inside prison corridors, the word is that King crossed the wrong people in a way that can't be undone. Several insiders hint that a contraband deal was in play, and King either tried to walk away or attempted a slick move that offended powerful figures. In a world where survival depends on respect, betrayal is nothing short of signing your own death warrant. One chilling detail being whispered suggests this ambush was never meant to end with just bruises.
I really admire his dedication and commitment to the craft, because, I kind of told him, what was wrong about it. Making mistakes. I ain't had no daddy who would pull up and get on my ass anytime. Things I did, you can't get away with.
I know that.
Man, damn. Yeah, that's I ain't see that one coming. You know
Really?
what I mean? Nah, I didn't.
His name supposedly showed up in a contraband ledger tied to a broken promise. And in prison, broken promises aren't written off with apologies, they're settled in blood. But that's only the surface of the rabbit hole, because insiders say the beef wasn't just about some missing package or unpaid debt. They claim King Harris's last name itself became a curse the second he stepped behind those walls. The Harris family has always been a magnet for attention, but this time the attention is toxic. Those old trafficking allegations that once haunted T.I. and Tiny never really disappeared. The family denied them, lawyers swatted them down, and PR teams buried the headlines. But gossip in prison has a longer shelf life than truth. For other inmates, those whispers became ammunition. King wasn't just mocked for being young and cocky, he was taunted with the sins his parents were accused of, sins he couldn't outrun no matter how many times he said he was innocent. Combine that with his reputation for being loud, flashy, and treating the yard like it was another Instagram live, and resentment built like sticks of dynamite, just waiting for a spark. For some of the older, hardened inmates, it wasn't even personal anymore. It was symbolic. King wasn't just King. He was the Harris boy. He was fame, privilege, scandal, money, and arrogance all rolled into one target. Taking him down wasn't just about a fight, it was about making a statement. One correctional officer even admitted off the record that celebrities inside become pawns in other people's games. When a famous one steps in, the officer explained, he's not another inmate. He's leverage. He's currency. He's a billboard that says, "We run this place." Former Georgia inmates back that up. Take down the celebrity, and you send a message that ripples through the entire prison. And that might be exactly what happened here. Meanwhile, behind the gated mansions, T.I. and Tiny's relationship is buckling under the weight of the storm. Sources close to the family say their arguments have turned volcanic. Tiny blames the system, the corrupt environment, the politics stacked against their son. T.I., on the other hand, insists the only way out is through discipline, connections, and force, making calls to lawyers, politicians, anyone who can pull strings. Tiny wants to play the victim narrative, painting King as a young man swallowed by a broken justice machine. T.I. wants to double down on dominance, framing it as a battle he can win if he flexes enough power. That divide isn't just straining their marriage, it's putting the entire Harris brand under a microscope. One insider put it bluntly, this is worse than the lawsuits, worse than the reality TV fallout, worse than anything they've ever faced. And the more they scramble, the messier it gets. Family friends are torn. Some whisper that going public, dragging the Department of Corrections through the mud, will only make King a bigger target inside. Others argue silence equals surrender, and the Harris name can't afford to look weak. Every leak, every anonymous tip, every guard willing to talk off the record, it's gasoline on a fire already blazing across social media. Fans are connecting old scandals to the current ambush, stitching together timelines, and painting a picture that might be even uglier than the family ever imagined. Let's not forget, this ain't King's first controversy. People remember his endless social media antics, calling out rivals, flexing with stacks of cash, bragging about his lineage, presenting himself as Atlanta's next wild card. On the outside, that was entertainment. On the inside, it was suicide. Prison is psychological warfare as much as it is physical. Every look, every laugh, every whisper behind your back chips away at your armor. Other inmates reportedly mocked King, saying he played gangster when everyone knew he'd grown up in luxury, private schools, reality TV, security guards, lawyers on speed dial. He wasn't a threat. He was a spectacle, a neon target in a place built to chew up neon targets and spit them out broken. And that resentment metastasized. Some inmates hated him outright. Others just felt insulted that he thought he could walk in with bravado earned on Instagram. And a few didn't care at all about him personally. They saw him as a pawn in their bigger chess game. Whether by hatred, insult, or strategy, the result was the same. King Harris's fame became his downfall. His last name wasn't a shield. It was a bullseye. On the outside, the Harris empire is trembling. King's siblings are being dragged into the mess, forced to relive old paternity rumors, resurfaced feuds, and family secrets that were supposed to stay buried. The line between private heartbreak and public scandal is gone. Every thread of the Harris story, from reality shows to lawsuits to social media drama, is now tied to this one bloody ambush, and the emotional toll is brutal. This isn't a canceled TV show. This isn't a lawsuit payout. This is their son's life on the line. Every headline chips away at their sanity. Every whisper of betrayal deepens the danger. Every public statement feels like another coin toss that could blow up in their faces. The same spotlight that once built their empire is now ripping it apart. The cold truth is simple. The justice system doesn't bend for celebrity. It doesn't care how many hits T.I. sold, how many seasons Tiny carried on TV, or how many fans chant their names. Behind bars, fame doesn't make you untouchable. It makes you exposed. It makes you prey. It makes you a bargaining chip, a headline waiting to happen. And for King Harris, that meant one thing. His name became his liability. The ambush wasn't just a fight. It was the opening chapter of something far darker. Some insiders swear he was caught in a contraband deal gone sideways. Others say he mouthed off to the wrong gang leaders. A few even whisper that his assault wasn't meant to scare him, it was meant to end him. Remember, when the attack went down, the cameras mysteriously went dark. The Department of Corrections insists there wasn't any glitch, but nobody's buying it. It's Georgia, one of T.I.'s old road managers said. Cameras break when they need to break. And that's what makes this feel less like a random beatdown and more like a setup. A trap sprung at the perfect moment, leaving King bloodied, unconscious, and clinging to life. The fists were weapons, yes. But the psychological humiliation, the mockery, the reminders of his parents' scandals, those cut deeper. Prison insiders claim he'd been warned. Stop flexing. Stop playing the role. Stop acting like Instagram could protect him. But he didn't. He kept trying to stand on business. And in the eyes of men who'd lived by codes longer than he'd been alive, that made him look soft. And softness is fatal inside. Respect isn't bought. It's earned, one ex-inmate said. And in here, it's written in blood. On the outside, T.I. and Tiny are working the crisis playbook. Lawyers running overtime. PR teams crafting narratives. Leaks feeding sympathetic media outlets. T.I. reportedly threatening to expose prison corruption if his son isn't kept safe. Tiny begging allies to frame King as the victim of a cruel system, not a reckless boy who thought he was untouchable. But no matter what angle they push, they can't change the truth. The world is watching. And the more they fight, the weaker they look. The fallout is dragging the rest of the Harris kids into the storm. Social feeds are flooded with old rumors, new speculation, and endless threads connecting the family's scandals into one messy, tragic saga. What should have been a private nightmare is now a global circus. Some say it's karma, others say conspiracy. A few call it destiny, the unmasking of a family built on drama, wealth, and reputation. Whatever the truth, one fact is brutal and unavoidable. King Harris is now the face of a reality check no one can edit. In prison, there are no retakes, no filters, no producers to cut the ugly parts. It's survival of the fittest. And King walked in believing his name made him untouchable, only to find out it made him the easiest target. So now, fans and critics alike are watching in slow motion as the Harris dynasty faces its most dangerous test yet. The attack on King isn't just shaking their family, it's shaking the entire culture, forcing people to ask, is this the downfall of a legacy, or the beginning of a redemption arc no one saw coming?
T.I.'s son, King Harris, has been arrested after not appearing in court and some other things connected.
Trying to coddle him for? Let the man walk off, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he need to do.
Yeah, so him being arrested isn't really like the shocker. It's him coming out and his, I guess, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why are you going down this path? Now he's talking about F the police, F12. So, you know, it just, he